Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to review the iFlight's Cidora. This is the 6S version, but they also have a 4S version. It is around the $260 price point, well under $300, which is kind of cool, but this one versus the Nazgul 5 has all the bells and whistles on here. We have a little bit nicer and beefier TPU on here. We have full-blown LEDs that are programmable in Betaflight, which is nice. It already has a Pro PID tune on here from iFlight RC that actually works really good. Not a lot of vibes. It does also have the Nazgul 5 props that are the same props that came with the original Nazgul 5, the 4S and the 6S version. You have some big differences between these two quads, and for about $100 more, I would expect that I get all the premium gear from iFlight, and that's what they put on here. They put the premium camo motors on here with the gold anodized nuts. Those are pretty nice, very beastie. Check out the copper coils on the inside of this motor, super thick, high quality coils around the stator inside, and the bell is awesome. With the XING motor logo here, 2206, 1700 kV camo. I kind of like this orange gold color on here. Very easy also to change the LEDs inside Betaflight. You just click on 1 through 8 LEDs and it will change them all actually when you save it in Betaflight. And you can do it by throttle response, and there's all kinds of settings you can get into in Betaflight for programming these LEDs. They're also plug and play LEDs, so if you had one go bad, you just order some new ones right there, and there is a 3-pin connector right there that you just plug in. So you can just put a new one on there. Now they don't come with a GoPro mount, which is kind of sad, but for that much money I would like to see that it came with the GoPro mount, the TPU mount. Maybe they couldn't fit it in the box. You also get a Cadex Ratel with this one, which is one of my favorite cameras out there for FPV, and I always recommend this camera. It's good to see that these companies are using this on their bind and flies. See the Cadex logo down there, but I want you to see what's cool about this is that they have TPU inserts on the inside of the camera post, on the camera walls on both sides. So this helps dampen this camera a little bit better when you're flying it at high speeds. It was kind of smart of them to do that. And I also like that as a top mount battery option, you have a piece of 3M sort of rubber tack right here that sticks on. That also comes in the box. Traditionally I like to use Velcro, but this was kind of nice because it already had all the cutouts and everything in there, so I could see the shape of the frame. And the shape of this frame really is very similar to the Nazgul 5 frame shape. So you can see the rear end right there, pretty much the same kind of leaf looking pattern back there and the same width. Now this one is a little bit lighter. And in the back here we have our TPU mount for our receiver. This is the XM Plus up in here. You have your antenna post here, XT60. We've got a little tiny 5.8 antenna, and this antenna works really good. It also has this awesome little TPU piece right here that you can unscrew it by hand, which is really nice. Never use a wrench on these, by the way. Always tighten them by hand. And coming down from your right-hand circular polarized antenna here is your extension line running to your VTX down here. And this is the Force 1 watt VTX, and look at the gigantic heatsink coming off the top of this. You see that black heatsink all the way across the top of the entire unit. Super cool, super cool. I love that. And it's plug and play also. So you can see a plug back here. There's a plug back here. Runs all the way up to the flight controller and just plugs in. We also have a capacitor in there. And my XM Plus, check this out. This is already installed for the bind and fly version. You can see the gold button right there. And all you have to do is just put a driver on it and bind your Tyrannus up in D16 mode and you're ready to go. And it'll just give you a sort of a comparison of those two TPU bottom motor protectors. This protects the bottom of your frame. This one's just a little flatter, a little less material. This one's beefed up a little more. It's got a little landing pad there in the front and the back. And on my Nazgul 5, my front piece fell off because, well, it just pushed through. The bolts didn't hold right. And that's probably possible on this quad too, but it hasn't happened yet. They're just a little bit thicker, which is nice. So in the middle of this stack too, we have a 30 by 30 stack, and it also has a 20 by 20 option on here. So if you ever blew this one out, that's pretty sweet. You could replace it with a 20 by 20 stack if you felt like it. But this is the Sussex F7 flight controller, twin G, meaning twin gyros on here. 50 amp ESCs just below that, running out to your XING motors. And some kind of clear hardware here on the top, which I like from iFlight. That's kind of cool. And white wires, looking pretty cool in there as well. A little bit extra flair. And most importantly, guys, for that flight controller, this is the Bluetooth option on this side. So once you power this quad up, you can connect to the SpeedyBee app. And you can go into the SpeedyBee app, you can scan for the Bluetooth on your phone, and then you can go in there and make changes to your Betaflight settings on the fly, which is really, really cool. So if you wanted to add a switch or anything like that, you can do it inside this app. That's one of the big differences between this one and the other Nazgul 5 series. Just be able to make changes on the fly is really, really nice. But I think a lot of people liked the original iFlight Nazgul 5 series for the value of what you paid for and what you get for this one. So that one's a really good value. If you're the guy that has to have all the bells and whistles, obviously this one's going to be the choice. And a lot of folks are saying that, well, the iFlight quads look like that might be a little bit better value than like the Emax Hawk series, the Pro and the Sport that just came out last week. And both of those quads fly extremely well. I've got both of them here. These are the Eco motors on this one, and this is the Pulsar motors on this one. This is the Pro and the Sport version. And this one, the Sport version is around $180, but the iFlight Nazgul 5s, the 4S version of that one is also close to that price. So yeah, I tend to like this frame, but this is a little bit heavier than the Hawk 5 Sport and the Pro. So keep that in mind. If you want a lighter style freestyle quad, go for the Hawk series. If you want something that's likely to be a little bit beastier as far as frame construction goes, and you can get all these parts no problem pretty much anywhere out there on Banggood's site, or a lot of people carry iFlight now, which is kind of nice. This gear is everywhere. But enough tech talk, guys. Let's go outside and do some flying with Cidora, the 6S version, and I'll show you how well it rips. Here we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get the Cidora up, and let's do a sort of a little bit of a boost up, and we'll get some altitude up here. We've got a plane out here flying out here today. It's a VAS, Visual Aerial Systems plane from Alex, and a friend of mine's testing it with iNav on there. He just built it up. So today is one of the first days he's flying that, and we get to chase it. So here it is. We're just gonna see if we can keep up with this plane. You know, traditionally some of these planes have a lot of speed. These pusher motors can really make a plane go quite fast. Some of the flying wings are hard to keep up with a race quad, and even though I have 6S here, this plane can do over 75 miles an hour, but the good thing is that I can keep up with him today. I'm still, you know, over 50, right around 50 to keep up with him. Slowing down just a little bit now, and I'm super happy today also because I have some new Tattoo 6S 1050s on here that I'm flying, and those will get you about 3.5 to 4 minutes if you're kind of casual on your flying, if you're not doing a lot of punch outs and freestyle. Freestyle is going to get you around I mean, even as low as 2.5 minutes to around a 3-minute mark, depending on how aggressive you are with the throttle. But here I'm just almost a little bit under half throttle, just cruising, keeping up with this guy. And he can go a lot faster. He's cut back on the throttle just so I can keep up with him a little bit here. But this quad will do over 100 miles an hour in a full punch out. No problem here. You just might have about a 1 minute flight time. So we're on my second battery now, and now I want to do a little bit more freestyle with this quad because I want you guys to see kind of how it handles. And no problem on the power loops. If you haven't flown 6S before, my biggest way to explain 6S to you is that when you're doing maneuvers like this, that bottom end right there, that's where you have that extra throttle, not to just dive into the ground. And that's a big thing for freestyle. So You want to have kind of power at your fingertips when you need it, and it's nice to have it when you need it. Kind of like a sports car on the highway. If you have to have a little more throttle, it's there. You're not driving a Buick. No offense, Buick drivers. So I'm going to go ahead and do another power loop between these trees, back down and around. Nice control, and you can see it is a little bit looser than the Nazgul 5. It probably dialed the rates back to about 7.0 on all the super rates. Just it'll feel a little bit softer on the controls for you. And this is one of those reviews where I pulled it out of the box and I was pretty happy with what I had. The components looked great, the specs looked outstanding, and again, I fear sometimes looking at great specs and then opening the box and having a total nightmare. Man, I kissed that tree. And sometimes these 5-inch quads can just push right through some leaves. I've taken out branches before and kept flying. It's crazy. But that's what happens when you're learning your power loops. You're probably going to tree a few quads, but just go for it and send it. And this quad has no problem sending it, which is great. So racing or freestyle, I think it's probably good for either one. It's a little bit heavier than the Nazgul 5 series and the Hawk 5, or the new Hawk Pro and Sport series, and quite a bit more expensive. But you're getting a lot more quad here. There goes that airplane again. But I really liked flying it, and I think this is it's one of those quads that's just a no-brainer as far as the quality, the performance, the speed, the 6S setup on here, which I love. I prefer 6S over 4S, just better authority and power, and just a much faster quad in general, in my opinion. A little better flight times on some of those 6S quads too. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it in now and land it, and we'll give you my final rating, and we'll talk about this quad on the bench one last time. Alright guys, here we go. Let's go to the studio. Alright guys, welcome back from the rip session with this. I think that this is one of those quads that really handles a GoPro well, especially on those power loops around the trees. And whenever I add a GoPro on a quad, it just feels completely different. It's like kind of like hauling a trailer behind your tractor trailer truck, and it's just a little bit, you know, it's there when you're flying with it, so to speak. So on those big maneuvers, you're using a little bit more throttle to get this unit back up in the air with the rest of it. So that's just one thing to consider. If you're going to fly with a GoPro, you're going to feel that extra weight. A lot of times I do prefer to fly without the GoPro, but yeah, then again, the DVR footage looks like crap, but it flies a little better. So there's kind of a trade-off that you have to decide for yourself. As far as the build quality on this one, I think it's going to be a 5 out of 5 for the build quality, with the one exception that all the hardware is loose, but that's pretty much how it goes with any quad that you get from China. You need to go over all the hardware, Loctite your motor bolts on the bottom of each quad, very important before you go out and fly, and let that dry for many hours before you go out and do your first flight. So it's a good idea to do that before, like the night before you go out and fly. As far as speed, I would say that the speed on this one is a 5 out of 5. And my overall rating, I'm going to have to say the overall rating is about a 4.8 on this one, a very high score, almost perfect, but not quite. There's a few things about it that I think could be a little bit better. I am getting used to the Nazgul 51 series props. They are, I believe they're 5150s. They are thinner cord. You'll notice that they're thin all the way through here. They're not thicker here like a lot of props are. Just barely a little bit thicker right here than close to the hub. So it makes a really nice smooth and quiet prop with a little tapered tip on the end and not a lot of pitch. So this is following that low pitch trend, which I think is really smart because it's just giving us a little more flight time, speed, and a little bit less punch. So you have to use a little more throttle in certain big maneuvers. So it's not really a great freestyle prop. I feel like this is more of a racing prop than it can be a freestyle prop, but try some for yourself. I think you actually like these props. But thanks again for watching, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Take care. This was the Cidora. You can check it out in the link below. I'll put the 4S and the 6S version down below for you guys to check out. And best of all, it has the SpeedyBee app on here as well with Bluetooth on this one. But thanks again, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.